For watching.
Okay, now we'll start with the examples of rectification of errors. First one we see here example. Sales for rupees 15,000 made to Vaishnavi was not entered in the sales book. So this sales of 15,000 which was made to Vaishnavi, this was not entered only anywhere. So this is a case of complete omission or errors of omission. So now what is the wrong entry is not there. Reverse entry will not come. Rectifying entry. Directly we will write what is the correct entry. So the correct entry here, what we are going to write is debit the receiver, Vaishnavi's account, Vaishnavi's account, debit by 15,000 rupees to sales account, 15,000. This is a very simple example. Now we will go to the second example. Salary of rupees 9,000 paid to accountant Varun Das was debited to his personal account. Here now what has happened? Salary was paid to accountant Varun Das. Salary was being paid, but by mistakenly, personal account was being debited. So what is the wrong entry? First, we will see that wrong entry is instead of debiting salary, Varun Das personal account. Varun Das was being debited. So Varun Das account debit 9,000 to cash account 9,000. Reverse entry will be cash account debit to Varun Das account 9,000. What should have been the correct entry? Debit all expenses and losses, salaries and expense. Salary account debit to cash account 9,000. What is the rectifying entry? Cash cut, cash cut. So it will be salary account debit 9,000 to Varun Das account. 9,000. This is also done. Example number 2 is done. Now we'll come to the third example. Old furniture sold for rupees 3,500 was entered in the sales book. So old furniture. Now your furniture is being sold for rupees 3,500, but by mistakenly it was treated as if it was the money is being received from the sales. So here what has happened is cash account wrong entry is debit. What comes? Money is coming in. Cash account debited to sales account written by mistakenly as sales 3,500. We'll do the reverse of this entry. Sales account debit to cash account 3,500. What is the correct entry? What should be the correct entry? Cash account debit and furniture is being sold. Debit what comes in, credit what goes out. Furniture is going out. Cash account debit to furniture. Now what is the rectifying entry? Cash and credit, cash and debit will be cancelled. Sales account debit to furniture account, 3,500, 3,500. Next we will see now cash paid rupees 500 on purchase of a machine was debited to carriage account. Now carriage was paid 500, but this carriage was paid for the purchase of a machinery, but by mistakenly it was being debited to the carriage account. It should have been capitalized in the machinery, but instead of that what has been debited is the carriage account. Now what we have to do, now what will be the entry that we will see. What is the wrong entry being written? Debit all expenses and losses. So carriage account was being debited. Carriage account debit 500 to cash account 500. The reverse entry, cash account debit to carriage account 500. Correct entry should have been machinery account debit to cash account 500 and 500. What should be the rectifying entry? Machinery account debit to carriage account. That's done. Now fifth example. Cash rupees 45,000 paid to Aditya Verma was debited to Kumar Verma's account. Cash was being paid. Cash is going out. Cash will be credited. Debit what comes in, credit what goes out. Cash is going out. Cash will go out. But instead of debiting Aditya Verma, Kumar Verma was being debited. So what we will do is we'll write Kumar Verma's account debit. Wrong entry was Kumar Verma's account debit 45,000 to cash account 45,000. Reverse entry will be cash account debit to Kumar Verma's account 45,000 and 45,000. What should have been the correct entry? Aditya Verma was being paid, so Aditya Verma should have been debited, debit the receiver. Aditya Verma's account debit 45,000 to cash account 45,000. Now what will be the rectifying entry? Cash and debit, cash and credit gets cancelled. Aditya Verma's account debit to Kumar Verma's account 45,000. So this is also done. Now next example, example number 6, we will see goods sold to Mr. Abhiraj rupees 350. There is something unique in this example. Goods sold to Mr. Abhiraj rupees 350 have been entered in the purchase day book. First of all, the goods were being sold to Mr. Abhiraj at 350, but instead of debiting the, instead of writing it in the sales book, it was being returned in the purchase day book at rupees 530. So now what has happened here is goods were sold to Mr. Abhiraj at rupees 350 and entered in the but it was entered in the purchase day book. We have the accountant has thought as if it was the purchases. So what we are going to write here? Wrong entry. Purchases account debit Instead of sales, the accountant thought it has to be purchase. So purchases account debit to Mr. Abhirat's account. Amount 350. Sorry, accountant has wrote 530. A reverse entry will be Mr. Just a minute. This is 530. This wrong entry should be written. What is the reverse entry? Mr. Abhirat's account debit 530 to purchases account 530. What should be the correct entry now? Correct entry should have been, we should have debited Mr. Abhirat's account debit, and the amount should have been 350 to sales account 350. And what is the rectifying entry now? Now this is something interesting. Mr. Abhiraj, but in both in debit, we cannot cut it. So we have to write Mr. Abhiraj's account debit. Always debit should tally with the credit. So Mr. Abhiraj's account debit 530 and 350 is 880. Rest will be same to purchases account. Amount in purchases 530 to sales account. We can see here sales 350. So debit is tallying with the credit. So this is how the sixth example is to be solved. Coming to the next example, seventh one, rent of rupees 800 paid to Mr. Amit has been debited to his personal account. Now rent of 800 was paid to Mr. Amit. Again, what has been debited? Personal account. Instead of debiting rent, debit all expenses and losses, what has the accountant debited? His personal account. Amit was being debited. So we'll write your wrong entry first. Amit's account debit 800 to cash 800. Reverse entry will be cash account debit 800 to Amit's account. Reverse entry 800. What should have been the correct entry? Rent was being paid. So rent account should have been debited, debit all expenses and losses. Rent account debit to cash account with the amount of 800 and 800. Cash in debit, cash in credit, which can cut. Then we will write here rent account debit to Amit's account 800 and 800. Now this seventh example was, I think, repeated the third time. Similar one. Eighth one we will see now. Repairs to furniture rupees 300 have been debited to furniture and fixtures account. Repairs were being done to furniture, but instead of debiting repairs, because repairs is a nominal account, debit all expenses and losses, it should be debited. But instead of debiting repairs, the accountant has debited furniture and fixtures account. A capital asset is being debited. So this comes under like errors of principle, where it is treated as a capital expenditure, but it's a revenue expenditure. So what is the wrong entry? Wrong entry is furniture and fixtures account. Furniture and fixtures account is debited with 300 to cash account. One is going out 300. Reverse entry, cash account debit 2. Furniture and fixtures account. 300, 300. What should have been the correct entry? Correct entry should have been repairs account debit to cash account. 300, and this should be 300. So what should be the rectifying entry? Cash and debit, cash and credit gets cancelled. Repairs account debit 300 to furniture and fixtures account. 300. So eighth example is also done. So I think everything is fine until now. Okay, next examples we will be seeing in the next tutorial.
Thanks for watching. I hope you liked the tutorial and gained knowledge. Please like, subscribe, and share the video. Hey, hit that notification bell icon to get updates whenever a new tutorial is released. Take care. See you soon in the next tutorial.